30 episodes, 30 conversations, 28 different people, each with a story to tell. Along the way, we've talked about pressure, confidence, setbacks, growth, performance, and the moments that challenge us most. But more than anything, we've heard people share the experiences that shaped them, the lessons they've learned, and what they've discovered about themselves along the way. 30 episodes later, the conversation continues.
Pressure builds, I rise, I aim. Thrive under pressure, remember the name.
On this podcast, we will explore mental skills and strategies that will help you perform at your best in both sport and in life. Whether you're a professional athlete, coach, or someone looking to improve their game, this show is for you.
And over 30 episodes, that conversation has continued through so many different voices and perspectives. Let's hear some of them. Alistair Collins.
I'm looking at this clock, I'm like, crikey, here we go. And ball comes out, we have a shoot call, ball comes out to Harrison, he double pumps, hits Toby on a bounce ball. Cam Hayes gone for the outside in to try intercept it again. He's missed it. Toby's on the outside, slides across just inside the 15, and then everyone's going nuts. And I'm trying to settle myself down. I'm like, my heart rate must have been through the absolute roof. Like, because I'm sitting there fizzed as anything for that moment, but I was still, the job's done for everyone else, but I'm still sitting there like, holy heck, I've got to compose myself and readjust here and get myself back to that cool zone, because what an exciting time that was to see Toby slide in like that. The noise was phenomenal. It was just unbelievable, and it was such a great decision after all that hard work we'd been doing, and we rode our momentum all the way through that second half, and it was just an amazing moment. And then I'm like, holy moly, I've got a job to do here. So it was inside the 15, and it was sort of that in-between zone. It was not right in front, but it wasn't wide. And I thought to myself, what am I going to do here? Because I was like, obviously got quite a long-winded run-up. So I thought to myself, I'll go close and do 2 steps. So because my heart rate was so high, I put the ball on the tee, went straight back 2 steps like I do for my short run-up, 2 steps back, obviously look up, make sure the ball's aligned. And then when I go to reset, Cam Hay comes out and kicks the ball off the tee. And I was just like, oh my God, what has happened here? Because I took obviously a wee bit of extra time. Like it wasn't it was still pre-routine by then to the letter of the law. And I went, oh my goodness, what's happened here? And then Eden's like, time's up. It was about at 79 minutes when that happened. So there would have been time for a kickoff. But because that happened, Eden, the referee at the time, went, nah, that's time off. It's full time after this moment, and then no one can charge me. So I was able to, I get 90 seconds to do the kick. So I take it back another 6 meters, do my full run up, bang, 29-28, and Darfield win the Coleman Shield, and it was the most out of body moment I've ever had in my life.
Funny that photo, you and old mate embracing, he's got you.
Sammy just getting a load of it, and I jumped so high I popped the calf actually. But it was an unbelievable moment. And then I stood up after Sammy tackled me, or I jumped on Sammy and we fell over. Whatever happened there, I don't really know. And then saw my best mate sprinting towards me, and then I just lost it, broke down, and then I didn't see daylight for about 30 seconds because there was a pile, and then the rest is history. There, it was just an incredible moment in time, and it's something I'll never forget. So it was super special.
So from all those things, what do you reckon? What was working so well for you and your team? Because I guess you can have a great year, but there's a lot more in team sport. You need everything else to click. So what is there any couple of things you could break it down to?
I think it's just trust, complete trust in our game plan. For us to sit under underneath those posts, 17-0 down, and go, this is where we're at, this is what we're doing,
Not panic.
we're going to ride this momentum. Shame about the Muppet who couldn't kick it 10 off the kickoff. But, but having trust in our systems and obviously having trust in the way that we were coached by Murphy. And that was the making of us. At no stage...
Good clarity.
Fantastic clarity. And at no stage was there panic.
No, nice.
Which is, you're in that comfortable, controlled period if you're not thinking about, or maybe we should change. If you're thinking of changing, you haven't done your game plan right.
No, exactly. Yeah.
So, that's
well planned, good clarity.
Well planned, good clarity, well executed, and obviously trust in 1 to 15. Yeah. Well, actually 1 to 23 at that stage of the season.
Robbie Fruian.
On a slightly different note, 2008 comes around. You've obviously started your rugby career, your world's at your feet, and then cold night at training changes your life. Can you talk us through it?
Yeah. So, obviously being young, I forgot a lot of my training gear at home. Rocked up to training, thought it would be fine. It was quite nice in Pororo at the time, and coming into town, it was raining and all that. It was quite heavily raining as well. Got sick. Because I only really wore singlet training. So it was like good times. Got sick. And then when I was sick, man, like, I could barely walk. Joints were swelling up and, was getting a bit of a sore throat. Then the doctor called me in. He was like, just come and do a checkup just to, make sure that, get you on the right medication and that. And went in, did my checkup, and then started listening to my heart, and then he was just like, I was like, all good though. He's like, we'll just, I want to send you in for a more intensive scan. He said, obviously he could hear a slight murmur in my heart.
Yeah.
And when they did a scan, they put a camera down my throat and everything.
Oh,
man. Like,
Yeah.
It's quite full on. And they pretty much, that's when they kind of figured, because they allowed me to rest for a couple of months to try and see if it was the swelling causing the murmur. But when it came, I came health, came right again. The heart didn't want to, that scan. And that's kind of when they found that the valve just wasn't closing properly. And so it was leaking blood back into the heart. So obviously there's potential for it to kind of drown in a sense. So and then that's when they told me I have to go on the waiting list, get a surgery.
And was that surgery, that was where they used pig valve? Was that new at the time, or was that like just the way that was?
Yeah, I realized the way that it was common. So I was just like, because they said that generally when things like this happen, you put metal valves in, and then that's sort of for the rest of your life. Right. So, but then off the back of a metal valve, you go on blood thinners.
Okay.
Because in the valve, I guess there's hinges in the middle.
Yeah.
And obviously those hinges have a tendency to form blood clots around there. Yeah. So that's, and obviously blood clots, so if they get into your system, can cause strokes, cause aneurysms. So pretty much, it was, I thought that was the only other option. And unfortunately, the doctor was like, there's obviously another, type of valve that we can put in. It's not guaranteed that it'll last forever. Yeah. But it means that you'll be able to continue playing rugby. Crazy. Obviously killing myself at 19 years old, just one play out with, I was like, man, I need to be a All Black. Get that in me. And obviously got told to I was going to have surgery, and then 6 months later, finally had the surgery, and the recovery began really pretty much. Was trying to force everything at the time to race, because I felt like I was racing against time. On reflection, man, I should have just really enjoyed that time. I went from, being sixth form to pretty much the next 2 years after that. I was just like, I consumed with a lot of rugby. Yeah. And then winning World Cup Player of the Year, like, everything was just like, shooting quite rapidly. And then, having agents talking to me. Yeah. So it was I should have just, like I said, on reflection, I should have just enjoyed the space I had to be able to just, take the time to, reset and just back that I had enough talent. I just had to work hard.
Pod Astle.
I look at those periods of time where I've probably been really bitter about things. I've been frustrated. You might be trying to reason with everything. And every time I would do that, it's always coming back to how can I contribute to whichever team I'm playing for? And how can I bring my best self? And I know that then it's very hard in the first few instances when you get little sniffs and you're not quite getting opportunities where you feel like others perhaps to have more loyalty or your stats are compared. And all those things, though, I would find would detract from my actual enjoyment of the game. And every time I came back to that, I kind of refound that perspective and focus. And certainly the last 4 or 5, or probably 3 or 4 years, when I did play for New Zealand, I did well. And I kind of knew my place, that if I was getting an opportunity, it may not be for a long time. So I might as well go and give it everything that I could and bring that enthusiasm and competitiveness. And it often would lead to good performances.
Amy Satterthwaite.
Anything that helps get through that, like in terms of if anyone else is, especially to, if they miss out on their first 11, it's devastating for them. So is there anything that worked for you that you'd give advice to on someone if they miss out on selection?
Yeah, I think that probably applies more to 20 from when I got dropped then. I think for me, I was always worrying so much about what the selectors were thinking, and if you saw them at the games and stuff and sitting there, and probably let that impact my performances in my game too much. And when I got dropped, it was pretty hard. I wasn't performing terribly, but I certainly wasn't performing probably could either, and probably where I did after that. And I think the biggest piece of advice I'd have is just focus on your controllables. So if you give all this energy and everything to what they're thinking, all of that sort of stuff, it's draining that energy that then actually you can use to help try get better and be better. And the really hard part is, often they'll give you feedback and they'll have reasons as to why they didn't pick you, and sometimes you might agree with it. The reality is that no matter what you think, it's what they think. So you kind of got to be like, okay, well, if that's what they think, that's what they think, and I've got to find a way to either prove them wrong or perform better. That means that I get picked. And the best people that I've probably seen come back from moments like that sort of get their bit between the teeth and say, well, righty, I'm going to work harder and I'm going to be a better player, and take it as their own responsibility and in their own control, rather than yes, there's always things that you don't like and that you're not, happy about and all that sort of stuff. But if you start blaming all of those things or blaming other people or whatever, it's not going to help you in the long run. So if you really want it, then as hard as it is and as crappy as it is to go through that, you've got to take that personal responsibility and work harder and smarter or whatever it is, and just to get better.
Being your last year, you had some pretty cool moments, especially I imagine the honour of being named Setbacks Oval for was it semi-finals HBJ?
No, it was just our second to last round of HBJ. So we had 2 games against Central Districts there, and it was our last home games for the season. And they knew that the final was in Queenstown at a neutral venue, so we knew that it was our last games. But it was incredibly special, and just the length that they went to as well. Turned up and there was stickers everywhere of Satterthwaite Oval and signs and things, and I made sure I got one to bring home because it was pretty cool back when they told me what they were going to do, and like I say, the length that they went to, it was pretty special, and the girls certainly let me know about it and made a real weekend of it. So just very thankful.
Your career, is there any particular absolute highlights you can remember? Maybe tell us a bit about, especially the 4 tons in a row. What were you doing so well that you felt like played it well like that?
Yeah, everyone always asks me that, and I wish I had a better answer, because I think if you knew the answer, you'd be performing every week. It was just an unbelievable time. Just scored so many runs, not just the 4, but just felt like I couldn't do much wrong. But I think I just had such clarity in my game.
Luke Fiso.
Is there any sort of strategies or things that you would suggest for, like, people starting out or wanting to go a bit further in the sport, in the mental skills space?
Yeah, for sure. Like, one of the things that stuck with me when I was working with Arden was having your why, like, why are you doing this? And really digging deep into what it is. Like, I could say my why is I want to win.
Yeah.
But when it starts hurting, is that going to be enough to keep you going? And so connecting with something like, for me, it was doing this to motivate the people around me who don't believe in themselves. Because I always found, like, growing up with a dude, like, going back to Buxton, like, we lived down the road from each other. We spent every day after school hanging out and training and, like, curling some dumbbells and kicking the ball. And then when he took off, in my mind, that was like, well, he's done it.
Yeah.
I could too. And so when I'm training or when I'm competing, I just want to have people be able to look at me and see me and know what I've done to get there and think, I can do that too. So when I'm training, when I'm competing, that's my why, is like, I'm doing it for the people around me. And it as cheesy as it sounds, like, that really does keep me going when I'm hurting real bad. I'm like, I don't want to let people down.
Yeah,
I don't want people that, like, I don't appreciate all the support that they've given me. I'm going to kill myself before I give up on this workout, you know?
Yeah. It's funny how like some people could take that same thing, like the expectation and other stuff, like, and it be detrimental. But like if you use it as motivation, it can be the other way, like reframing it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, one of the other things, one of the other sort of tactics that we had, so there was the why, and then having like mantras within the workout, like physically saying this out loud.
Yeah.
So I got, it's again, I feel silly saying this because it's probably things that people don't realize that I'm doing. But if you watch me, you might even see me doing this. When I'm hurting and I'm struggling to breathe, I start saying to myself, every breath gives me power. And that keeps me focused on my breath and just thinking about, like, rather than thinking about how much I'm hurting or like how hard the workout is, I'm thinking about how much energy or how much power I'm getting from breathing. And then the last one was like a physical, truly physical thing, like clapping my hands or stomping my feet. You know, some people do that.
Yeah.
So my one was just literally clapping my hand before I'm about to do something that I'm be stressed about, or, you know, I've messed up. So then I just clap my hands and it's kind of like that whole thing of chuck it in the bin.
Yeah. So, yeah, I know, like for rugby, a few hookers that when they throw the ball and if they miss their line, they spit. It could be like a way of just like, right, that's gone, or something, just like a throwaway.
I reckon there's heaps of those little things that like some people either aren't aware of from the outside, or even the athlete themselves aren't aware of, but they're huge. And if you can actually harness them, like art made me realize there were a few things I did naturally that were obviously keeping me in the zone. But when I'm not staying in the zone, or when my mind's wandering, all I need to do is do those things. But if I'm not aware of it, how am I ever going to know, you know?
Yeah, I think the awareness is such a massive step. We're doing a 6-week course at our gym on mental skills, and half the stuff is real basic, but people just haven't put any thought into even thinking about that stuff. They're so busy just trying to survive a workout. Even just the breath stuff, like it's so basic, but most people breathe terribly. Have you used those breathing restrictors? We bought a few of those the other day. That was quite a good. It was tough, but it was good fun.
Breathing's huge. Like, leading up to the games, I ended up working with a breathing skills coach, and it was my dad who gave me a hard time. You know, all the supportive father he is. He was watching me off, and he was like, first thing he said to me after I, finished the weekend was, "You breathe wrong." I was like, "What do you mean I breathe wrong?" But it made me go and search for an answer, and I went and found something that was life changing as well.
Yeah,
even just like everything I do.
Yeah, 100%.
Adam Whitelock.
I've heard about your epic morning routine. Can you kind of run us through how that looks?
You've done a bit of homework. But I mean, I like a challenge, and I probably won't go into too much depth, but I think back, like the workers on mum and dad's farm are up at 4 o'clock in the morning. They used to work 12 days a week, then 2 days off and do that. We were pretty privileged at rugby. You know, you get up at gentlemen's hours, you go to the gym at 9 and train at 11, and, be knocked off at 2, and, you might just go have a massage and that. But so you train hard, but we had a really privileged environment. People that are labourers or, overseas, less fortunate, they're working massive days or on the farm. So I was like, once I finished rugby, I was like, well, I've got kids and I'm building my next career. How am I going to get ahead? So I was like, well, if I get up at 4 or 5 in the morning, I'm going to win 2 or 3 hours and I get stuck into it.
Maz Quinn
Actually replied, which is pretty cool. He asked, what were the qualities that made you the best New Zealand surfer and a world chip surfer?
Was probably that hunger from being 13 and wanting to be a professional surfer, and that's all I wanted to do and that's all I sort of thought about. Everything every time, it's everything. That's just the hunger to be a professional surfer and make a living out of it, and just wouldn't stop at anything without achieving it. I just just everything I could to do that. It was just the focus and nothing like laser-eyed at being a professional surfer, and it was just nothing. Like,
it's a hunger, pretty much.
Yeah, as a young kid, I was just getting up early, surfing 3 times a day, eating, being too knackered at night to go out and party all the time when you're a teenager. But it's just, that's all I wanted to be. And it's just, I don't know, it's just this steely sort of, I'd glazed to be a pro surfer, and I just would not stop until I was, achieved it pretty much. That's the main sort of takeaway, I think, for me. It was just, just setting that goal, which at the time seemed pretty high, but stopping at nothing. Yeah, I had
put it somewhere, or is it just a thought?
my mum actually made me write this thing above my bed, so every time I went to sleep was the first and last thing I saw. Like, what would it say? I was like, something like, I don't want to be a beach bum, I want to be a professional athlete, something like that. So something along those lines.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, they helped me immensely. Took me to all the contests when I was a kid and everything. So there's a lot of, I mean, they helped me pave the way, that's for sure.
I think it's pretty having it, not just like a lot of people think about a goal and have it in mind, and writing it down is one thing, but putting it somewhere and see it daily.
Yeah.
No, really appreciate your time. Really enjoyed, and it's cool to learn from codes.
Oh,
You know, we primarily do rugby cricket stuff, so I really wanted to meet some guys from different codes and learn you guys. So, but we do have viewers who are surf oriented. They're pretty keen to hear. So, I'm all the best for your career and
thank you. No, it's good being on. Cheers.
Young
No,
fella.
it's good. Yeah.
Norm Maxwell.
When I first got dropped off there, I felt like panicked, I was like frozen, just because I think the idea is one thing, but once you sort of do something like that, the sort of reality hits, So one of the things is everything was stripped away, I'd stripped away my career and all my friends and everything, and I was sort of there alone, So it was a very interesting sort of period, because it's sort of like, over that period, like that short period where I sort of was experiencing a lot of fear, and that I noticed that I'd used rugby as like a band-aid, and so all the stuff that I was feeling, that after I'd stripped the rugby and my friends and all that lifestyle away, I was left with what was really there that I'd sort of ignored for 8 years or whatever. So I was sort of connecting with this younger part of me that was still, I suppose, it had been sort of waiting there underneath of all this other stuff. So it was an interesting experience. So that 6 months was sort of an unraveling of sort of getting to know that younger part of me that I'd sort of tried to cover up with my rugby sort of career and endeavours and money and friends and all the rest of it, It was I dedicated myself to sort of not to go back down the same patterns of drinking or doing those things. I wanted to be like to have a lot of solitude, I spent the time like sitting in different places. I'd go sit in natural places, or I'd go sit in a church. So the whole time I was just really trying to slow down from just having a really fast-paced life. So I just really wanted to dig deep and go deeper into what I was carrying with me, because one of the things was very clear to me is that you could travel to the far side of the world, but you're still carrying everything inside of you, So no matter what you see, even though your external surroundings has changed, your internal environment is the same, And so it's always coloured. It was always coloured by that. So part of my intention was just instinctively just wanted to slow down and just to recoup, I suppose, and regather. So it was a very interesting period of my life for sure.
So you just worked that out, like, as you didn't have any sort of research on how to cope with that. You just kind of worked it out as you went.
Yeah. I think a big part of it. Well, I think it's just a natural process. I think I don't think you need to like overcomplicate it. And part of it was just creating space and then having the ability to sort of pay attention. So back then it was before smartphones and things like that.
Matt Henderson.
If there's any coaches working with any group of people, like the first thing, especially in this first tournament, is like, can you get these guys to connect and play together? Like, throw the result, like genuinely throw the result out of it. Like, let's have some fun. Let's get some really, really connected. And Mark was really good at that. We were able to do that really well for 4 years with Southern. Then in Canterbury, with this, we were able to another era where we went to a few finals again and won a couple. Long enough timeline to create that, because the cricket takes care of itself. And so I just went into that with the best. Like, let's just go have it.
It's basically that, right? That's what BMX doing. He cops most because he also talks about to not care about the result, which is true, and it makes sense. But you can see why fans would go, "Oh, you're playing for England, you can't not care about the result."
In the world is so worried about what other people think, and so if you lose, everyone thinks shit. Like, they like the all weekend, but they're still one of the best teams that ever played the game. And like, oh no, that's a bad analogy. I shouldn't go to that one, but like, I go far. Like, if you want to go quickly, there's a different way of doing it. Both work. I just know which way I'd rather do it. Yeah. Be real directive and like force it down people's throats, and it might be one or two. But
probably fall over at some stage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Awesome, mate. That was a bloody good chat. It's good to. There's a lot of stuff in there. Like, we know each other for a long time, but there's a lot of stuff in there I didn't know. So really good to chew the fat. And yeah, thanks for being so vulnerable and sharing some of that stuff. Well, there'll be a lot of guys that. From coaches to players to young guys, we'll definitely share this with our 15s, and go to the World Cup. For most of these guys, it's their first time overseas, going to UAE. It's going to be a pretty cool experience for them. We had Micah Conroy actually speak on Sunday to the boys, so that was pretty good.
I'm excited. Like, there's some really cool cricketers coming through, and he's one of them, and I'm really excited to see how they evolve and what they can do. He's a level indoor player, like Coke, and he can play some cricket. Yeah, well, mate, I wish you I think I was last time, and I've got to speak to this young player tomorrow as well about it. But yeah, okay. Like, if you look at it, then the pressure will just actually enjoy it and be grateful and get a moment. And I turn it about like a timeline of a career. So push off the performance and just like give it everything, and you're going to learn heaps, and you'll have heaps of fun and make Atlantis. And Atlantis is a priority for anyone with more testosterone,
As the water park,
Go, like, the boys went in.
They
I'm sure we're talking under 15, still about Atlantis, but like, yeah, we joke around how Rushy fell in love with a mermaid. You get the took us to see that Museum of the Future. Like, it's the one thing I've been there like 5 times now, and I haven't gone to see it. Apparently, it's incredible.
Oh, okay.
You go check out the museum. I need to book it now because I think.
Oh, really?
But yeah, chance, let me know.
And it's inside, so it won't be roasting.
Yeah, it's the fun part of Dubai, that's for sure. She's hot.
I reckon 2 hours outside the day is probably enough.
Yeah. No, but yeah, like, you find a way there, mate, and just keep your eye open, because there's just so much stuff. It just doesn't stop. Like, every time you turn around the corner. Sorry, I know we're doing the podcast.
James Marshall.
And squad, but didn't play a massive part when your transition started. Do you want to talk us through sort of your role, how your transition to coach started, sort of through the injury?
Yeah, so the Hurricanes for 2 years. So back then, Japan and Hurricanes, so it was a awesome watch, and like Japan financially was awesome, and still hoping to play high level of rugby. Didn't really work out. Form as well. I wasn't playing that well on my hip, so the coaching thing I did without. Felt like I had a pretty each week in terms of our game. Some of the maps we always like to be all over that. I love to preview teams quite and coaches and share my ideas before we all sort of met. So I knew that coaching would probably. I always knew I'd love to, but got to the point where much in my career that I actually didn't really want to coach because I didn't want to keep having around and coaching. So sort of idea of coaching and my men. COVID, I had my hip. Carlos Spencer left. Jason Holland asked me if I could take over the backs while for the rest. It was literally going from the players' office to the coach's office and overnight, and she found it, and it probably sounds because, like I said, I was all so much. The players all respected my rugby opinion, and I felt some of the best options or open conversations with them and try and come up with the best plan. So from the moment I started doing it, and then moved down to Nelson where we looked to settle. Oppo came up to coach, so I said I'd coach, settled, and that sort of happened. Me and asked me if I wanted to move down to Christchurch, so that was probably the hardest one for us, but tough one, obviously.
Yeah, nice. Probably the smoothest transition from player to coach. I talked to Razor because I was pretty intrigued to find out why someone who's only really had a year of coaching experience to go straight to Crusaders is pretty cool from him. So he said, where is he? He's over in France, obviously, so it's pretty short, but he said, you're always going to be a coach. Your playing days, you knew your game so well, and you're a great people person. He said word circulates very quickly that you're doing a great job at Tasman, and it was an easy call. So pretty good rap from the man.
I wouldn't have gone for the job if it was like
advertised.
I wouldn't have thought wanted either, really. Family down, so when he did call, it was tough, like, having those conversations with my family around, do we want to move? Do we want to do the thing? And I can't say yes, but we're here, and an awesome experience. I got to learn from two of the coaches almost ever, I reckon, with Razor and Scott Hansen, and just it's so incredible. Those are all for me, and understanding that, probably was my first bit to work on. So with the first year, and looking forward to next year. The coach.
Vicky Logopeti Campbell.
One of the things that I know I did when I had the conversation with Bobby Irvine, if you write it down and it's something that you look at daily, it is a reminder of what you're aiming for. I know one thing when we found out she was a really good 400-meter runner, she wrote on a piece of paper and had it above her bed on the ceiling, I'm going to be an amazing 400-meter runner. And she'd wake up and look at that every morning.
Yeah, nice.
So write it down, look at it, believe it, but work hard to achieve it is probably the thing. Talent takes you so far, but it's the work behind the talent that gets you that little bit further. And I've got a great story that I tell a lot of young people that I work with about my little brother. And I don't know if you know Lewis Brown, who played for the Warriors. Those two, they grew up playing touch together, played league together. Lewis Brown was talented, but he wasn't fast. He wasn't the strongest. My little brother, he was phenomenal. He had everything: kicking game, passing game, vision, speed, but he was a lazy trainer. And so they both went over to Aussie to try cricket in the rugby league scene. My brother found girls and just went off his raw talent. Whereas Lewis Brown worked hard, he trained hard, because that's what he had to do his whole life to be able to keep up. And Lewis Brown was the one that made it. My little brother didn't. So again, talent will only take you so far, but it's the hard work behind that will take you to that next level. So if you really want it, it's the only person you can look at if you haven't achieved it is probably yourself. So anything's
I noticed
possible.
that a lot is you see a lot of guys come through at that age where the early developers come through and biggest and strongest, and obviously I sometimes think that's a disadvantage because they're talented and so strong, they don't have to learn the skills, they don't caught up, and then it's really like, oh shit, what do I do now? Bit of talent, but you work really hard, you get some failure, you're going to work a lot harder, you're going to learn the skills, catch up physically later, and then happy days, so I sometimes hope sometimes you get the buff, but the up is really can almost burden on the American sometimes.
There's another guy, Cody Walbrick, you've worked with you had his son. He was exactly the same. Had all the talent in the world. Did you play with him? Did you play league with him?
With
Cody?
No, he was in my team. We were similar age, but I was similar.
So he was captain of the Kiwi League team under 16s. He had players like Roy Azatazi, Lance Hire, all in his team. But same thing, all natural talent, went overseas, tried cricket, and just got too distracted. He didn't quite make it. Is back over here being a youth worker for Te Ho. Woohoo! Speaks volumes. It does speak volumes.
Sure. Awesome, Vicky.
Mikau Puaka Grego.
What advice would you give any young, aspiring baseball, especially if they're from New Zealand or Australia? It's kind of a bit of a different beast coming from there, isn't it?
So honestly, with the trend at the moment is a lot of kids are committing to colleges, and then from there, that just from what's happening recently is there's been a couple kids that have been committed to colleges, and they have nationals, and they go there and they straight dominate nationals, right? And then from there, even though you're committed to college and whatnot, you can still get signed, because it's like once you get there is like the signing's off the table. But before you get there, it's only a verbal commitment. There's nothing to it yet. Like you haven't signed nothing. You have no ties to it except for saying like, I want to commit to this school, blah blah blah. And my advice to a kid who would be in that type of situation is when they're getting offers that like you don't take the first offer you get, and they're going to pressure you and tell you like, yeah, you got 24 hours, but if you're good enough to get a contract or get an offer from them, I can tell you right now that in 24 hours you're no less of a baseball player, just because you didn't give them the yes response that they want, and they're only putting you under the pressure to sign with them so that you're off the market from other teams because of the value you have. I mean, if you use them the right way, you can get a little extra money by saying I want to go to college, and then bang, there's a bigger offer, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm taking that. Yeah, you just play the game and play it smart. Like you don't have to take the first offer.
Logan Van Beek.
It's that stuff is all in your control. That stuff, and people will probably judge you more on not doing those stuff than actually stuffing up the delivery or getting out. Or for me, like if I see someone taking a million catches and really trying hard, and then they drop a catch in the game, like I don't care. Like I know how much effort they've put into it. If I don't see the guy do any fielding training and then he drops a catch, like that pisses me off. And so it's your own standards, how you go about it. Like that's what you're going to be judged on, not necessarily the outcome stuff. Eventually you do. Like that's just and that's the thing, the nature of
Tommy Herschel.
Yeah, I always say go and see your psych or your counsellor like they're a mechanic and you're getting serviced. Don't wait until you're going and seeing your counsellor or psych like they're a panel beater and they got to fix everything up. I was out in the bush one time, driving home in my old truck like I am now. They had 10 hours driving to do. Saw a bloke on the side of the road, same sort of truck, and I was like, oh, poor bastard. He's got a big day ahead of him. Smoke's coming out of the front. And then I went, oh, look at that buddy bearing going, that front right wheel's making a bit of noise. Anyway, I drove through town after town. As I got further along, this little noise became louder. And I'm 3 hours out of Sydney, and I'm pulled up on the side of the road, and the wheels completely just bolted up on me. And I went, if I stopped in Ningen or Cobar and I got it simply the bearing in and out, I wouldn't be broken down on the side of the road now if I dealt with it back then. And a lot of people say that, they go, oh, my issues aren't big, they're small, but it's like that laundry pile analogy I was giving at the start. If we don't deal with our stuff, it piles up until eventually we get to the point where we're throwing it all out. And that's what's happening in Australia. We're losing 7 blokes a day in Australia to suicide, you know. So we've got to get better at going, oi, what's up your ass, mate? What's going on for you? And I love you. Yeah, you're a good bloke. So yeah, hopefully there's some takeaways in there, mate. And hopefully we've recorded both of these. I'm worried the first one.
It's definitely the wee red light song. Real good.
Awesome.
Disasters. I have had one where the just sound been real bad, and it's taken like weeks to get the sound right. We got it back up, but
wicked.
Podcasts are awesome, mate. It's just this part is the best part. Just all the other stuff, the editing, branding and chopping stuff up. That's hard work, but this is the fun part.
Oh, awesome, mate.
Interesting, because like Robbie Farrell used to play for the Crusaders, so I got on the first one, and then ever since then, I was kind of like, I'm just asking, these athletes. And I was like, I'll probably say no, but I've never actually had anyone say no yet.
Yeah, we could.
I guess with Instagram, it's pretty easy to get accessible to people, but
well, such a great way to share.
If you didn't have a podcast, I wouldn't get to even talk to like you. I would never have met you, talk to you.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
It's good, mate. It's reach, and the more conversations we can have, the more connected we are, the better we're all going. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So,
well, thanks.
Matt Hutchins.
How do you sort of measure success as a swimmer, just generally? Is it just that timing stuff? And because obviously placings and stuff, and there's a bit of pro and other athletes, and
I mean, it's a great discussion for people to have about mindset, and I think it's a discussion that really transcends swimming, and something I really had to set before I got back into the sport recently was what is success. When I recently got back into the sport, I was like, man, I'd love to qualify for the Olympics again. And someone was like, what if you don't? What do you mean? Like, are you fully prepared for this to happen? And if that doesn't happen, is this a failure? Like, what does, and I think success is different to everyone. To some people, success is just winning. I think winning can overshadow so much stuff. You said you could swim a world record, but if someone beats you in the race, they get the world record, they get the gold medal. Like it's not, and that's no discredit to anything you've just done. You are now, if that person wasn't there, so like, is success always winning? No, I think, depending on what level you're at, I think if you're getting kids into sports at a younger age, especially in swimming, success is, actually mastering that really good backstroke to breaststroke term. Success is actually doing a full race and maintaining that skill you want. And yeah, I think it's important to teach people to swim to win. Like you want to swim to win. We're not just here. I'm just here to have a good time. Like I think you can swim too far back. We're just doing this to have fun. Well, no, winning is the most fun you'll ever have. Where's that balance? And I think, for me, success at that time was only breaking records and swimming times. I wasn't looking at success was the fact that I was 21 years old and I had achieved something that I wanted to achieve since I was about 14 or 15 years old.
Yeah.
I got back to school and then was on to the next thing, and there was no process to process that. I guess there was nothing that I went through. I was like, well, actually, let's take a step back. It was like, well, I need to go to the next thing. The next thing's my chance to prove. My next thing's the chance to prove that I am actually good enough to do this. So I think defining what a success is very individual.
Yeah.
And I think New Zealand loves defining success as being as winners. There's not so much, it's very hard to find that balance for a lot of people.
Nathan Smith.
It's just kind of with things like this, it's just building it brick by brick so you don't get a recurrence or you don't come back too quickly and go too early.
Yeah, nice.
I had my first stress fracture.
Oh, did you?
Had 6 months off bowling. I played the Super Smash that year, and then a couple of 4-day games. Yeah, felt some back pain again. Went and got a scan, and sure enough, it was the same site had re-cracked. Ended up getting a surgery. There's a wizard down in Christchurch. His name is Rowan Shooton. He's an absolute wizard. He does back repairs.
Yeah.
Got my back done. Got a couple of screws put in. So that was March last year, and then had 6 months of rehab, and then started the home summer last year. Yeah. Now here we are.
So how long did you have between the first and the second? Long.
Yeah, it actually is quicker. You can be a little bit more aggressive. The first time round, before I got the surgery, my first rehab was like slow, and we took a lot of time doing stuff. And basically, with this second one after the surgery, it was like by 12 weeks, you pretty much can't screw it up. You just got to just go and you can bowl and do all that. You've just got to probably make sure those first 12 weeks you're getting your muscle stuff, your base muscle stuff. Yeah, you can be pretty aggressive with it, which is awesome.
Yeah, nice.
Jamie Milne.
So when formal education or academia meets lived experience and wisdom, oh man, that is a very powerful dynamic, because if you have just one without the other, so if you just have lived experience, then I think people are looking for credentials. They're looking for credibility. They're looking for, and it's only a particular person that looks for that. As David Neath often used to say to me, is like, people don't give a fuck what's on your wall, bro. They care about results. If you can get them results, but there are still people that want to see a few letters after your name. They want to see some paperwork, but they are minimal. But then sometimes when people are highly academic, of which another mentor of mine, Dr. John DeMartini, they lose a bit of the human touch. They lose that humanity. They can't connect and develop relationships, perhaps like somebody that's been rolling around in their own shit for 30 years. They've got a bit more depth, and sometimes that connectability and relationship develops rapport. So I think a blend of the two is a really good idea.
Conrad Goodhue.
My advice when it comes to I look at it, food is, I often explain as a drive your, like a car, right? So you got your macronutrients, so your fuels, your carbohydrates, your protein is kind of the frame. Your fats are kind of in the fuel there as well, so you throw that in with carbs. But your fruit and veg is what, I guess, looks after the car, it services the car. Can you drive a car without oil?
Yeah, not for long.
You can, but it just doesn't go very well, right?
Yeah.
So if we look at our bodies the same way, is okay, are we actually getting enough fibre, and specifically from fruit and veg? So people go, oh yeah, but the food industry is making it hard. I'm like, there are fruit and veg shops down the road. Obviously, this time of year, frozen's great, but if you start at that point, and I've had a lot of clients that come and see me that come in with these, they have like bread allergies, and they're not tolerating food that well, and their gut's a little bit unhappy. First thing I do is go, let's get enough fibre back into your diet, and we'll start there, and then we'll start worrying about all the other issues that come with that. So, and what I find is actually their gut sort of resolves itself and it gets better again.
Sam Harvey.
It's like less thinking, more doing. So just
Yeah.
turn up and do it. And how do you do it? Do your job.
Yeah.
What's your job? I mean, at the end of the day, with a backyard ultra, it's simple. It might be really, really long, but at the same time, it's like it's a 6.7 kilometer loop, and you've got to run it within an hour.
Yeah.
Anybody can do that. It's like,
Yeah.
well, let's break it down into that. Right, just run this loop. It's like, what do you need for an hour? It's like, cool. You need to eat. You need to hydrate, and you need to rest, recover, maybe tend to some wounds or something. It's like, cool. Just do that 1 hour after another, hour by hour, tick it over like clockwork. And it's like, that's all it is. It's like, it might be a really big thing. It might be 800 kilometers of running, but it's like, it's just 118, 119 times that one hour.
Andrew Robinson.
Was surprised because he was this happy-go-lucky kind of fun guy. And it's like you've got no idea what anybody's walking around with. I think in one of the early days, kind of in the first couple of weeks, I remember asking a guy if he'd jump in the lake. I'm doing a project with mental health. He turned down the offer to jump in the lake, but he said he'd just found a suicide note from his son a week earlier.
True.
And like I say, I'm really fortunate to have been brought up with understanding that other people are going through things that we don't have any idea of. But it's these sorts of kind of conversations that you have where you're just like, you really have no idea.
Yeah.
And just giving people a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. If they're rude or if they're short with you or something, it's like there's a strong chance that they're going through something.
Yeah.
You know? There's the occasional sociopath out there. You know, I'm not making excuses for them, but there's a lot of people who are just struggling. And if we can't be empathetic and understanding enough to help them, then we shouldn't really expect the same in return. And yeah, that's my 2 cents is just
Jimmy Sinclair.
How you kind of define success now compared to earlier in your career?
Jeepers. That's a really good one. I mean, back in the day at Community Land, I think I used to define success as kind of how many players returned the year after was always the simplest way for me to define success. I think too, like a couple of other simple measures, like this is probably relative to rugby because we are in a real privileged position to have a club rooms and stuff, but like how many players always show up to the aftermatch after a game, I used to always be real proud of. And some clubs that I've coached at had, better turnouts than others, but one in particular, we used to have really good turnouts in that space, regardless of the match, regardless of the outcome. So I always used to find that as because that means they were connected more to they were connected more to the club than they were to the result and to the people within their teams.
Bailey Martin.
If there's any young CrossFitters or even if it's just other athletes in general, is there any advice you'd give them about like just trying to, they're just looking back, even if it was like to give yourself some young advice, like what would you say just looking back for sort of like a teenager that's keen to make something of what they're doing? Any advice there?
The main one, everyone says it, is enjoy it, because it is hard. Like CrossFit is a hard sport and it's getting harder to be at the top. You have to do a lot more, but also don't just run your own race. Don't compare yourself to certain people like me. You could be like, oh, I want to be like Bailey next year or in a few years, but people forget that I've been doing it for like 12 years. So it's like a constant. I've learned a lot along the way, and that's probably why I'm so good, because I've been doing it so long as well. Some people kind of jump on, they'll be like, I want to be like Bailey, but you have to go through that first stage of when you find something and just enjoying it and just doing it because you want to get better, rather than being like, I want to win the CrossFit Games, or I want to make the CrossFit Games like certain people. You kind of have to fall in love with it, because then that makes it easier in the long run, and it will make you stay at it, and then just enjoy the process, because there comes a point where you're enjoying it and then you want to make your dream come true or whatever, and then that's when it starts getting hard. And if you haven't enjoyed it, it's just going to make it so much harder.
Yeah. What do you do that helps you enjoy it?
It's more so like your training environment.
Yeah, 100%.
People around you, and just don't have, I don't know, time for other things as well.
Yeah.
Like other hobbies, so you can like switch off. I don't have many other hobbies, but
well, I think you're like, some of your hobbies are probably related to CrossFit too. Like your content creation and stuff is probably partly your hobby, even though it's CrossFit related. It's still different, you know.
Yeah.
Because I think it is important. Yeah, like I think that's one thing that a lot of clients I have is like, if they're having a bad week in CrossFit or rugby or cricket, their life feels bad. And it's like you still got, you're still a good parent, good father, good brother, good sister, you know, mate. You know, you're a human, not just a CrossFitter.
Yeah. That's the same with me. Like if CrossFit's not going well, it feels like everything starts to not go well.
Yeah.
I've gotten better at handling that. I'd say, over the years.
Yeah.
But, that's my main advice. There's a quote saying, "Don't compare your chapter 1 to someone's like chapter 5."
Yeah.
Still got all that. You still to go through all the chapters to get to where they are. Because otherwise, then it eats away at you because you're like, why am I not where he is? And it's like,
comparisons that thief of joy.
Yeah.
Josh Pope.
Because for a very long time, this was before I sort of found that functional fitness, or before it was really a thing that people were doing. You know, you would just sign up to City Fitness, everybody would kind of go and do that sort of workout, and that was sort of all that was really available. It wasn't, you know, sort of when maybe F45s and stuff kicked off that kind of functional fitness and stuff came in. But before then, you know, myself, I would always say, oh, you know, the gym is sort of like, you know, it's good for your mental health, or that's kind of, you know, my therapy. You know, you can go in there and you throw your headphones on and just do some exercise and stuff like that. But what I find a lot now is that without the recovery side of things, it's just another stressor that you're putting on top of your body, you know? So if you're not taking the time to, you know, for me over the last probably 5 years, mobility has been a massive thing. And just getting that dialed in. And so a lot of nights is just spent stretching and things like that. And so if you're not recovering from some of that stuff, it's just going to add a lot more stress to your body. And like physically, you'll start to break down with injuries and things like that. And also it's going to bleed into mentally at work or at home with family and friends and all that sort of stuff as well. So that time away from doing something extremely intense is really important as well.
Yeah, I definitely more aware of that now. So I generally try to go 5 days a week, sometimes 6. But if I do, I have to like do a sauna, swim, or like something to. Otherwise, there's no point. Like you just, and I've got a few clients who are definitely in the chronic stress sort of period, or you know, and I'm like, you actually need to not do something like that. You'd be better off doing something, just some like yoga, or you still want to move. I think movement's still important, but that more passive, more recovery sort of stuff, right? Because otherwise, you obviously, I think people feel like they have to move because I need to be fit and stuff. But if you're already in that chronic stress state, then you're adding something super stressful like that. That's just adding to the bucket, isn't it? If the bucket's not being emptied somewhere, it's just going to overflow regardless if it's a good or a bad thing.
Yeah, we tend to struggle with that. I think, I don't know if it's Kiwis or if it's just everybody, if it's just humans in general, but we're always wanting to push the boundaries or push the red, you know, run it to the red line in every single scenario, and it's just unsustainable. And then you know, we'll do that for, you know, January is a classic example, right? We'll do that for the entire month of January and then blow up, and then, you know, you don't go back to the gym for the next month or 2 months or whatever, you know. And so I think I heard a really good quote the other day. I can't even remember who it was from, but it was along the lines of like, you know, we're training, you know, when we go to the gym, we're doing training or any training or sports training or, you know, even professional athletes, you know, you're training for, you know, adaptation and recovery, and it's like the normal everyday person doesn't treat it like that. They're actually treating every workout like game day, and it's got to be 100% all of the time. And that's where it starts to become unsustainable. And so it's okay to go to the gym and just have a bit of a, 60-70% session, and it's, to be honest, sometimes it's the same with the recovery too. You'll go to the sauna and you go, I'm just really not feeling it today. So you might only be in there for 10 minutes as opposed to the, 15 minutes you'd planned to be in there. So I think just accepting some days aren't going to be 100% is just a mindset that, a lot more people could benefit from adopting, including myself. It's a journey.
Jamie Mill.
And, I used to have the understanding, and this was quite a while ago, that, pressure starts to create our character and build a framework of character. But, in recent years, I now understand that pressure is like water. It'll find cracks, and pressure will actually reveal people's character. If you want to know what a person's truly like, you want to see those unconscious and subconscious patterns of behavior and thinking, just turn the pressure tap and you'll see it pretty damn quick.
Yeah. What was I going to say? I had something new. Oh, that's right. Oh, I went to my mate's high vehicles. They have this in the cops over here, the police. They have a high risk vehicle training. And it's really good. It's really interesting. So my mate was running a simulation day. I said, can I come out and have a look? Basically what they do is, all these young cops, they're all sort of first, second years. They come out and they basically just simulate the worst case scenario. So gang members coming out of cars with guns, or people coming in and just, anything that's really high risk. So weapons, people that are unstable, doing crazy stuff. And it was awesome. It actually put me under pressure because I just watched the whole day, and in the last session he was like, okay, you have to be in part of the simulation. I had to pretend to be one of the criminals, and I had to walk up to the cops with a gun and threaten them and swear at them for a minute. And I was like, okay, this is going to be really uncomfortable because it goes against all my sort of morals of, I was calling them pigs and swearing at them, and it was, I did it for about 20 seconds. I was like, okay, taser me, I've had enough. But it was interesting because I thought it was amazing, the whole simulation and the way they did it. But the only thing I thought that they didn't really nail was, so everything was still quite technical. It was like, okay, you didn't do that right. This is what you needed to do. But I think probably the reason they may have made that mistake was they were unfocused. Their heart rate was too high. They weren't able to control their emotions, So they kind of missed that sort of soft skills. Do they cover that stuff in the sort of in the Navy and SAS and stuff when you were SAS stuff you were training, right? So they wouldn't be helping you. They'd be just putting you to the test.
Assessing, yeah. No. So the answer to that is no. And I was trying to think then, even like my time in the Navy was probably too long ago.
Yeah,
it was still very much like a real quick example. Like I went through the Navy Ships Divers course, and to assess if you could actually dive. And this is a true story. And now that I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dives, mortifies me. I remember in the middle of my working day, I joined as a chef. So I was in the galley cooking, and then they're like, oh, you've got to go over to the dive school and do your dive test. And I was all pumped. I had no idea. I literally just walked to the end of this jetty and pontoon, and one of the instructors were there, and he's just like, pop this on, bro. And I was like, oh, yeah, fuck, already the heart rate's like,
Yeah.
Like this massive diving rig. And I'm like, oh my God. And he's like, oh, I'm just going to take you to the bottom. And if you can go to the bottom, you'll be fine to start next week. And in my mind, I'm like, go to the bottom? The bottom? Like the bottom, as in the seabed? And the two of us have just gone off the edge. And I remember I would have got maybe 30 seconds. Oh, when you feel it. And it was literally when you feel the pressure, bro, in your ears, just give it that one there. And if they equalize, that's good. If you can't, if it hurts, just pull on my arm and we'll come back up.
And I remember just like absolutely petrified.
Yeah.
And that was, there was no like, okay, we're going to down regulate our nervous system. We've got to lower our arousal levels, take a nice deep slope. It was like, put this on, bro. We're going to the bottom. It's like, the bottom of what? Yeah. Horrendous. So in my time, no.
Andre Adams.
I was talking to Hendo during the week, and I said you were coming on. He said ask you about, which is kind of what you were talking about, how your arrangement with the word should and replacing it with can you, or that sort of philosophy. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, it's just, there's I can't remember the exact context, but it's like it depends on what word you hear a lot from someone. And so some people have a trigger word. I can't remember the context, but and I think it was, we should be doing this or should be doing that. It's like, well, can you do that? Or can't you do it? I should run down the wicket, or I should do this, or it's like whatever it is, just can you do it? Well, then go and do it.
Yeah.
And I think, and if you put should, it's kind of like a question mark. It's kind of like it's vague, it's grey, it's been given to you, but actually, can I? Yes. Well, then what's stopping you? Can you or can't you? I think is better than should I do this or should I do that?
Yeah.
And that's I think that's the way that and I like to live in that world in the coaching space, particularly when it comes to problem solving. So can you get there and do that, or because if you can't, that's okay. You can probably learn how to do it. But you can't leave a grey area for decision making. You've just got to buy into the fact that you're going to problem solve whatever's in front of you and just trust that you can do it. And if you don't have that skill set just yet, you can probably learn that. But don't get grey around whether you should or shouldn't. You either can or you can't.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I because we've talked quite a bit online. I don't know. We met once, I think, in person at Christ.
You had a much bigger beard. You had a stronger beard. Yeah.
And,
the same colour as mine now, which is pleasing. So it's good. Yeah.
The wisdom, mate. It's all that coming through.
Yeah. So much wisdom.
Yeah. But I think that's always resonated with you. You don't. You never just kind of go with the flow of like what everyone has to do. Like you kind of test the boundaries about like how things could be done. And I think that's, like I always like to think that way too. But sometimes you got to have the bravery to actually put it out there, or to ask that of the people that
I love that shit. Honestly, I love it when people go, this is blah blah blah, and you're like, well, okay, what evidence do you have?
Yeah.
Tell me, like, to convince me that's the way to do it. And that convince me that making a cookie cutter model for everyone is the way to do it. When actually the people who are the greatest, they're not cookie cutter. They're 100%. They're the outliers. And we've shared heaps of comments online, but it's quite funny. that group that we're in with Indoor Cricket, and people come back with like quite strong. And I think their intention's awesome. The thing I would challenge though is like, where's that belief coming from? What evidence do you have that says that that's true? And is there any space at all for thinking about it differently? And I think that's the place where you've got to be real careful not to shove it down their throat, or people won't do it. But I do think it's super important that people are open to thinking about it differently. Most of the time, they're not, because it's scary, because they don't know how it's going to go.
Yeah.
And that's just human nature, and that's cool.
Yeah, it's like that 2 ball rule that's just coming into man. Like that's
everyone wants their mind over that.
Yeah. Now I think most people are okay with they think this is not too bad now, but it was more the way it was done and blah blah blah. But man, like change would flip people's head. It was crazy.
It's just preconceived ideas around how it's going to go. Like we don't know how it's going to go. We haven't done it.
Yeah.
Han Porter.
We live in a society where people were so quick to tell us what's important, what we should and shouldn't do. Like, fuck, I can't tell you how many times over the course of my athletic career or my life, whatever it is, people are so quick to give you their opinions on what you should or shouldn't have done in situations. And I remember there was just like one really key moment with my mates. It was actually when I was about to move to Iceland in 2022. I had about 12 days to make that decision. And I told a couple of my mates, I was like, boys, I'm going to actually move to Iceland for the year. And then like, it was the immediacy with which they just told me why I shouldn't do it. But what I looked at when they were saying that, I realized in that moment, I was like, and I said to them, I pulled them both up on, and they were really receptive to it. I was like, lads, you realize you've just told me why you wouldn't move to Iceland? Well, I'm a very different person to you. And I said, it's a very different thing. And it was a very like eye-opening moment where I was like, that's most people's advice. There's people that won't, but most people's advice, they're going to tell you what they do in your situation, right? But you're not that person. So unless you can find someone that's actually really able to give you genuinely objective advice based on what they know of you, and I have friends like that, and they're the best people in the fucking world. They're the most important people to have in your life. Most of the time, someone is going to tell you what they would do, or they're going to be triggered by something you do that's going to like unconsciously force them to, project that insecurity that you've actually activated with your actions to you, or they're going to coddle you. They actually care about you and they love you so much that they're going to give you the safest option, what they believe to be the safest option because they care about you. And that's what most people fall into, those three categories, right? They're projecting their own insecurities onto you, their own insecurities and beliefs onto you that you've activated with whatever it is you're doing. They are coddling you because they care about you, but they don't actually know how to objectively look for what you do. So they just pick the safest option, or they just tell you what they think they would do in your situation. And that takes a very mentally strong and self-aware person to be able to recognize that and not let other people's opinions mess with you. But and that's where having a clear sense of who you are genuinely makes you unfuckable with. Because if you know who you are, nothing anyone else says to you can really phase you if it's not good. And that's the thing. I have a collective of people that I turn to for a genuine piece of advice, and I trust what they say because they know me, I know them, and I know that they've got my best interests at heart. But other than that, like, I'll talk to people and I'll listen to their advice. I'm like, cool. It's just like, awesome. I recognize, like, they're telling me this, cool. And also, if someone says something to you that you don't like about you, or somebody says something about you that you don't like, but you know who the fuck you are, it doesn't phase you. Because one, if it is a bad thing, but you're aware that you do that bad thing, well, it's kind of like, yeah, fuck, look, I've had to make peace with that. Yeah, it sucks. Like, I wish I'm very disorganized. I wish I was more organized. Yeah, you know what? Like, fuck, someone says, oh, you couldn't organize a route in a brothel. I'm like, yeah, you're fucking right. I struggle with that. Absolutely. I'm trying to work on it, but it's brutal. And you've accepted that. If they say something that's not true, well, you know it's not true. And you know who you are at your core, so it doesn't get to you. You hear someone talk shit and you're like, oh, that sucks that they're saying that, but it says more about them than me because that's not me. And it's the ground, it's the base through which all the other mental health stuff sticks, right? It's the base through which you learn who you are, and then you're able to apply all the other skills so much better, like your emotional regulation, stuff like that. Your mindset architecture is the second pillar, and it's like your belief structures and all that kind of stuff. They changing your belief structures. You can't change your belief structures unless you fucking know why you believe what you believe, and where your culture, like your conditioning, comes from, what your actual authentic interests and stuff are, where, and all that kind of stuff. And that sets the foundation in all the identity work for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Brianna Donato.
So it all goes back to kind of one framework where we go through understanding your system, building awareness and recognition of the patterns and what's actually happening, and then starting to learn how to regulate yourself and return to baseline. And in doing that, because it's, even with what you just mentioned with the breath work and the ice baths and all that, I think these days regulation is something it's going around quite a bit on social media. And I think that a lot of people fall into the trap of thinking that those things will just work just by doing a few tips or tricks here and there. But that's not the situation. If you don't understand the why, you don't understand where it's coming from, you're going to keep falling back into those same behaviors. Like, one breath work session isn't going to magically solve years and years of regulation. It's really about understanding and recognizing those patterns to then be able to actively choose to react in a different way or remove yourself from certain environments and just do whatever's best for you. But a lot of the regulation, it goes back to, again, why you dysregulated in the first place. And I know for me, a lot of the time, I've been in a really good position the last few months that I'm no longer overthinking or getting burnt out or anything like that. But previously, any time that I would get burnt out, it would be because I wasn't able to say no to people and I was overgiving and I didn't take any time for myself. I felt like I always had to be on the go. And then the solution to that was the uncomfortability of saying no, of setting the boundaries and actually taking time for myself. And I grew up in really that hustle culture where you just have to always be going and it's not safe to rest. If you're resting, then you're being lazy. And I had to actively go against everything I've ever known and actually take the time for myself. And that can be a really hard thing to do, but I think it's also really important to remember that if you're unable to take time to rest on your own terms, your body is going to shut down and it's going to choose when you stop. And sometimes you don't like what it has to say or when that actually happens. So it's really about building in that rest to refill your cup, because a lot of the nervous system dysregulation, it happens because you've overgiven for too long and you've just completely burnt yourself out. So if you can start finding things that taking time for yourself to refill your cup again, as simple as it sounds, that's what you have to do. And a lot of people that I work with, and even myself historically, never took any time for myself. It was always just go, go, go. And I think that's one of the worst patterns for people in our situations, but just learning to break that and actually learning to rest and be present with yourself. And rest does not include scrolling. It's rest without.
No. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, in fact, it's quite the opposite, right? Yeah, I think that's certainly, because a lot of people kind of feel guilty giving time to themselves, or like maybe they're a parent or they're, they've got some sort of responsibility as a provider or as a boss or whatever, that, I've got to be, doing everything. And then you actually you can't lead other people if you're not well yourself, right? Like if you're not leading yourself, you're probably, that's actually how you're letting people down, by not taking time to look after yourself.
Exactly.
We had a workshop with a real estate agent, a really big real estate agent in Christchurch, and they live right opposite, their office is right opposite the biggest park in New Zealand. It's actually the second biggest park in the world after Central Park. Really big, beautiful park. It's got botanical gardens, it's got rivers flowing through it. It's really peaceful. I said to them, like, how often in the last year have you gone and taken your lunch break across the road? And there was like one person put their hand up, like they all just, in fact, most of them actually skip lunch. They just work right through and they wonder why they're all stressed out and, like battling away. When they could just, I said to them, you take 20 minutes, put your phone down and spend 20 minutes over there just chilling in nature. You'll get a heck of a lot more done. You'll feel better. You'll be more present when you get home. And that's what some of these things, as you said, like, they're not rocket science. They're not crazy things. They're not hard to do. They're not easy either. Like, it's just, you've just got to make time.
And lastly, David Neathy.
What's the difference between aggressive and assertive? I said, here's a prime example. An aggressive tackle improves probability of penalty.
Yeah.
An assertive tackle is technically perfect. Which of the two? Do you want to lose by 2 points because you did a stupid tackle?
Yeah.
So assertive behavior is what I want to encourage with athletes. Not aggressive, but certainly not passive.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, especially these days with the way the refereeing is, you can have multiple guys on the sideline now, right? From just poor decision making, being too aggressive, probably, and that can probably end up coming from that sort of arousal state, right? Like that over.
Yeah.
A special thank you to everyone who's been on the journey with us so far, and to all the incredible guests who have shared their stories, experiences, and insights. We hope you've enjoyed listening as much as we've enjoyed having these conversations. Here's to the next 30 episodes and beyond. We'll see you there.